life. I will. Okay, so I'm gonna do. I think we do. I'll start off with my story because it's very Wick Wick, and it has to do with you and something you posted, and then how I reacted. So this.
Hold on 1 second. My TV went on spontaneously. Let me turn this back off again. This is my life. Okay. Do we want to do the behind the scenes again? Let's start again.
Well, no, it's recording anyway.
Okay, we don't care. This is truly the dirt.
For 30 seconds, people just watch me read my Facebook stream. Okay. Okay, so we'll do. So I'll start off with the story. Then we'll also tell the story about how we lost the article from last week. Perfect. So I have it up now, so I'll bring that up, and then you could do your tips, and then we'll end. That's awesome. I think those three things are perfect. All right. And we are episode 37. 37.
Oh.
I have the light problem again, but I don't care. I look awfully tan when the light is shut off.
There you go. That's why you pull the shades.
All right. Ready?
I am ready.
Okay. Welcome to the Wick Wick podcast. Ronnie in Maryland here.
Carla in the ATX, Austin, Texas.
Here.
And
we made it. Here. We were here last week as well. Although, we had some technical difficulties, but I don't want to talk about that yet. First, I have a story to tell you. So this morning, what is it? It's Thursday, and I had to get blood work drawn for my yearly physical. So,
so it was no caffeine, no food.
No caffeine, no food. Now, well, I do want to say this. Why? I have a question though, and I almost want to know if your doctor does this. I make the appointment for my physical. They don't tell me anything. They don't say fast. They don't do nothing. I show up,
and then you go.
Then I get there.
That always happens to me too.
Yes, and then I realized, so like at this physical, we went over last year's blood work, and I'm like, why don't you send me in to get the blood work a week before the physical, so that way we can go over the blood work that's current. It just makes no sense to me, but
it makes no sense to me either. Yes, that's my experience.
That's like a sidebar that I just had to express some frustration. But okay, so I had to fast. So I went to the gym. I got an earlier appointment, but I still went to the gym. I came home and I'm making lunches and breakfast for the kids, and my stomach is literally growling. And I sent them off to school, and my appointment was like 8:45. So I'm on, of course, Facebook because I'm glued to it right now. And I'm trying to, so I'm reading Facebook, kind of waiting just to get over this blood drawn appointment so I can get on with my day. And I look up at the clock and it's 8:30 and I have 15 minutes. And I'm like, okay, I'll start packing up. I mean, the doctor's is a mile away.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
Did you walk?
This is where my story comes in. Yes. Okay. So I'm starting to like get ready, and then I see your Facebook posting of E and biking to school. And I went, yes. And I went, oh, I can ride my bike there. I was like, oh, because I only had 15 minutes, so I really couldn't run, and I didn't really, right? But then I was like, I would have never. The thought that normally I'm pretty good with that, like, looking for opportunities.
But it's the no food thing, I bet.
maybe I was cloudy, but no, I didn't even think about it. And so I literally, like, moments before I was ready to log off the computer, I see the photo and I went, oh, I could bike to the doctor. That's great. And I thought, this is Wick Wick. That's what it is. Like,
it's a power, yes.
You didn't share it as a Wick Wick moment or whatever. Yeah. It didn't matter. But the fact that I was inspired positively by someone making a positive change, your daughter riding her bike to school.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Inspired me to go, oh yeah, I could ride my bike to the doctor's appointment. So on an empty stomach, I rode my bike to the doctor's office, and it was way colder than I anticipated because my fingers were numb by the time I got there. I didn't think to wear gloves because I just didn't think about it. And then I told the nurses I biked, and then they were like, you did? It's freezing out. And I'm like, I know, but it's only a mile. I mean, it took me like 8 minutes or something on a bike to ride the mile. So, but yes. So I was like, what a great Wick Wickish moment.
It is, and it's that I think there's so much going on in the world that it's easy to focus on. I know I can start focusing on, and this is the perfect transition to what I wanted to share, like the negative energy that's coming from people's like, I need to go on a social media fast because I'm absorbing the negativity from some of the stuff that's out there. So it's easy to forget that, the positive stuff sparks positive change in people too.
Right. And so I know our thought, I mean, at least I know our thought behind the book was that if we can inspire people to make these small changes
Yes.
and share those small changes, that's kind of the power of Wick Wick. So using the hashtags, sharing things on Facebook, and making it easy for people to find that positive within the
Yes. Without
cloud
having
of
to
negative.
search for it.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
Such a
That
great
was
point.
kind of was my
Yeah.
inspiration for coming up with the idea, because it's so easy. It's something that I think helps me to share. Like, I will share, hey guys, I rode the bike to the doctor's, in hopes that somebody else went, oh, you know what? I have a dentist appointment and it's only a half mile. I should just walk.
Because it
That's
feels
awesome.
less, some of us need that permission to post it and share it because it feels less self-congratulatory. If you tell yourself, you know, somebody else might see this and this might inspire them, it feels less like patting yourself on the back.
Yeah, you know what? I never got the patting on the stuff. Like, I understand. I see people say that, and I see people express fear in sharing their like, I cooked a healthy dinner, or I took a walk with the kids after whatever it was, and then they feel like embarrassed almost to share, or I started a new class at the gym, or I lost 5 pounds. But I always thought it's inspiring. I mean, that is really the reason why to do it, because I know when I see them, I'm like, oh, Susie walked a mile, or so and so lost weight, or so and so is cooking new food, and then I go, I could do this too.
And I think it's so clear when, remember the days, no one talks about this anymore, of the humble brag. Remember when you saw us talk about that?
Humble brags.
Me too. And it's so clear when you're saying this, I cooked this healthy dinner, for example, like, holy crap, I amazed even myself.
Oh, I've been sharing.
Versus a brag.
I have
really
been sharing
clear.
massive food photos lately. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's so clear when it's authentic and just, I'm so proud of me.
Well, to me, I don't know. How are you inauthentic? Like, I am so proud when like something like a roast comes out perfectly that I'm like, oh my God, someone needs to see this.
Yes, and I can think of one kind of brand specifically where it doesn't work well, and I think that's what it is. It's when it's not a person, but it's a brand, personal brand, or whatever it is. That I think it always comes off. There's no, yeah.
Well, and for me, I know like my family doesn't get as excited about food as I do, but I know that people out there do. So when I share a food photo of something I'm really proud of that I cooked or created, I get that positive feedback from people who are more like-minded than the people I happen to be living with. And that's encouraging. So it's like, you know, my husband, although like he thinks the roast is delicious, he doesn't have that like, wow, that was awesome. Or what did you do? Or how did you make it? Or there's no like interest or excitement there. Yes. And so, but when I post a picture of the perfect roast and I share it, and then people are like, how did you do it? What temperature did you use? What did you, and I'm like, oh, I want to share this because I want to help you be able to make this perfect roast or whatever it may be.
Yes. And it is, people can always tell whether it's authentic because you share also, which I love, oh yeah, I was going to make the perfect roast this evening, but I didn't. I fell down a bad eating rabbit hole of comfort food and it was Domino's. Like, you're very honest.
Well, it's funny because I even think I shared on my because I did make the perfect roast this week, which was after I had so many failed attempts at cooking large pieces of beef before.
That would not be my gift.
Yeah, like I was like, I think that I'm most excited about it because I failed so many times. And I feel like so many people this is like a whole nother sidebar, but so many people are afraid to cook and afraid to try and afraid like that. I kind of want to go, look, people who like, cause now I feel like some people might look at me and go, well, you cook all the time. It's easy for you. It's you know what I mean? Same thing with like weight loss or anything. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Through my 20s, I burned everything. I dried it out. I overcooked it. I undercooked it. I had to put the chicken back in 10 times because it was still pink. Like I got all these like mishaps. And so I think sometimes, again, another byproduct of social media that's positive is that when we share both negative and positive, like I feel like I've always felt this way, just being transparent, it like opens the door for other people to fail at something and not think that
not
they
have it be the end of the world.
Right. Like not think that they can't do it. Like, so you burn a steak. It doesn't mean you should never cook again. It was a learning. And it's like, this is what I tell my kids, like, it's like failing a test. The test is designed to teach you. So you failed the test and now you're better on the other end. So it's the same thing. Like you make a dish and it doesn't come out exactly. Oh my gosh. I remember so many, I could share a million stories about how I totally destroyed dinner. And some, you know, we still ate it or we had to throw it away or whatever. And so I think sharing them is actually probably even more beneficial than sharing the positive.
And it's such a great teaching now that we're totally tangenting, but then I
We
will
are.
get back to my thing that I would say probably only 3 nights a week, maybe more, but some of the nights are super busy with gymnastics or stuff like that. I don't want to mess around in the kitchen with something that we've never made before. But other times when it's just a homework night, I'll be like, okay, let's try this. Because if it's really disgusting, we'll just figure out something else. But it's like, if you don't risk it,
Yeah, you have to do the
sometimes
risk.
it's great, sometimes it's terrible.
I do that when, to be honest, sometimes when the husband's not home for dinner and it's just the kids, and I'm like, okay, it's our time to experiment. Like, let's try
Yes,
this.
that's why we do the 2 of us.
Yeah, it's much. Well, to be honest, it was even easier when it was just Ryan and I, and he was under 5, because then then it was really just me, and I happen to have to feed a 4-year-old too, and that's pretty easy when you mess up dinner because they don't know what's happening.
And yes, okay. But I had to change it with that one because I forgot that we do that. I hadn't put it together that it really is teaching failure, because half the time it is really disgusting and we laugh and
think
salvage
about
what we can.
Who do we think in society are the best cooks? Grandmas. Why? Because they've been cooking for 30, 40 years, right? So the reason why they're so good is because they went about an entire lifetime of failures, and no one's coming out of the womb a good cook. Like I watch those kids though. Oh my gosh, on the Food Network, they have all the kids chopped and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, these kids are 10 years old and they already have that. So, of course there's natural talent there, just like with anything, but somebody who's a mediocre cook, and I truly believe everyone can cook. It's just a matter of wanting to cook. Even if you're mediocre or bad, after 20 years, if you keep doing it, you're going to get better.
And it's picking that. This is my thing that I have not found yet, but everyone seems to say when I've gone to potlucks, when I ask what they're bringing, oh, I'm going to bring XYZ. I have to, it's my signature dish. And I think, I don't have a signature dish. So it's I don't have one thing that's amazing for you. I'm like, I'm going to do that. Because that way it can be predictable. But we talk about with life, consistency, whatever that dish is. That
they make it so well. Their mom made it, or I fear potlucks. Like I don't know why, because I think, and this is a confidence thing. Even though I love to cook and I love to cook for myself and I love to share what I'm cooking, I think no one's really going to like this but me. And
I get that. I mean, I go to Whole Foods. It's such a gift or someplace like that. People know, my personal tagline is, if I love you, I will never cook for you. It doesn't relax me. I don't think I'm really great at it. I'd rather just spend time with you. So people are not surprised if I come. I don't even bother taking it out of the Central Market Whole Foods wrapper. I'm like, here you go.
Yes. Yeah. It's
freeing.
It is.
Okay. Speaking of food, I noticed you put up yesterday on Facebook. Oh, I can't remember the exact phrase, but the only thing that matters is really the talk about stress, comfort food.
Oh, I put up, is anyone else? Now I can't remember. It was something about
self-medicating with comfort food.
Is anyone else basically self-medicating with food? Yes.
Yes. And so I thought, oh, that's an interesting point. And how am I? I had other friends who were joking about, hitting the wine, all that, because it's a stressful season. And I thought, I don't really drink. What do I do? And so I came up with, I'm very organized. I would like to say there are 6 of them. Yes, 6. 6 silly, stress lowering things, actions, but ways that I do self-care when I get too stressed out. And a lot of these are super common to other people, I'm sure, but they're the 6 ways that I'm choosing to approach right now, since it's a little bit stressful, election over, no matter who you voted for. Everybody seems to be arguing, which can just send my stress level up.
Yes, it's very stressful out. I just want to say, I love the 6. It's almost like we're inside your brain as you craft the perfect blog title for
your SEO here. Somebody.
Wait, was it 6? Do it one more time.
It is, and you can hear one of them in the background, because when he's not doing that, pinky swear, he's super calming. He's actually looking me dead in the eye right now, which is supposed to be a sign of love.
Trying to get your attention?
Yes. 6 silly, stress-reducing, self-care actions. And truly, I encourage you not to edit this part out because he is a piece of my self-care. And so I'm curious, I wanted to share these because they're pretty common, but not all that common. I mentioned one of them to somebody the other day, yesterday, and she said, oh, I never thought about that. So I will actually shift around my order, and I'm going to lead off with that barking golden doodle. And we'll call number one, hold charming, who is my doodle, but hold your dog. And I did do a little bit of research for each one, and studies do show that dog owners are much less stressed than those who don't own a dog. And supposedly receiving the unconditional love or barking of an animal plays a big part in lowered stress levels. And so mine really is holding him, and as silly as it sounds, matching my breathing to his breathing.
Even when they do that. Even when they do that fast breath thing.
I was just going to say, yes, if he's panting, I'm like, dude, no. But yes, I'll sit. We're getting very personal here, but if I let him be the little spoon and I'm the big spoon, dog. He's so big. He's like probably 80 pounds. But holding him is so calming.
It's funny because I don't have a dog. I've had dogs growing up, and I'm very much a dog person. I love dogs. I love other people's. I'm like a dog grandma. I love other people's dogs, but I think having the dog would cause more stress because maybe it's where I am with parenting right now and kids. I know so many parents who have kids my ages and then they get a dog and I'm like, it's like getting another toddler.
I think
Aren't you stressed out? Yes. Now I'm like, you got to train him and you got to pick up poop all the time and he's barking when you don't want him to bark or whatever it might be. And then I'm like, I don't have that kind of time for stress. Although I do agree that like, when I'm around dogs, I love it. I love being around a dog, but I'm a dog grandma. I want to give them back.
And they say when the dog totally meets you with their gaze and holds your gaze, it's a sign of love. And whether it is or not, that really is a huge stress reducer for me. So
I definitely think there's admiration there from dog to human.
Make your dog your little spoon.
Yes, that is cute. Okay, so that's one of six.
Okay, so the next one is, and I read a blog post a little while ago about walking around barefoot outside, really grounding and connecting with nature. So I said that to a friend yesterday, and I said that same kind of thing, barefoot in the grass. And she goes, it is getting cold and it's been rainy. You know what's better than that? And she said the best stress reducer for her is quite literally hugging a tree. I did it. It was actually kind of stress reducing, but I thought, you know what? This is silly. It's grounding. It's connecting with nature, which has been proven to diminish stress. I became a tree hugger.
This is so funny because I just saw an article about
tree hugging.
I can't remember. Yes, but it was a making fun of them article, I'll be honest. But it wasn't, but it was naked tree hugging. I can't remember what they called these people now. Did you? No. I can't remember what they were calling these people, but it was this like movement or, philosophy right now where it was like to be naked in nature. And I was reading I wish I remember what they called them. Maybe someone who's listening will know what I'm talking about. Or I'll try to find the article and put it in the podcast or in the post. But yeah, it was like people that were like doing things in nature naked to be reconnected to the earth or something like that.
It really is. And it's also, I think it's tied in for me, especially when I did it yesterday with laughter. But I was like, oh, I really do feel better. The next one, I know I read somewhere. I didn't search too long, but I have a tiny little dot of, I'm not very protective of my technology because I have an old phone, tiny little dot of nail polish up in the corner of my phone. Because as I said to you before, and I think we probably talked about here, I tend to do all of my social media on the phone. That way, when I'm at the laptop, it signifies to my brain, this is work time. So really I'm looking at my phone a lot. And when I see this little dot, sometimes I tune it out. I get really engrossed in Facebook or tweeting for work or whatever. But each time I notice it, I consciously think, breathe, stop. And so that's really helped me slow, that kind of thing. So just a tiny little dot in the corner of my phone.
What did we call that when we were talking about like even having Wick Wick jewelry where it reminds you of
anchor.
Like an anchor. Yes. I was like,
because I think we notice them. We register the anchors on our wrist, on our rings, on our phone subconsciously when they're in front of us, even if we don't think we're registering them.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
The next one I do all the time. And so I'm kind of lying to myself, but I'm going to bring all of you in this with me. Gum. Because I read a study in I think it was 2008 or 9, they did a big study saying that chewing gum lessens your cortisol level and
Interesting.
lowers your anxiety and reduces your stress. It also increases your alertness, which kind of makes sense. But
Huh.
so I do that. I tell myself that's self-care.
It's well, does sucking on Jolly Ranchers count? No.
I don't. You will need to get a focus group and figure out if
I
it's
believe
working
that's
the jaw.
and that's actually that was my solution when I was standing in the pantry doorway just looking to something to eat and self-medicate, and I thought I saw the Jolly Ranchers. I went, no, get a grip, just get a Jolly Rancher. And so now I'm just sucking on Jolly Ranchers as a stress relief. So I wonder if it's related to the gum
And
chewing.
that should be their new ad campaign. Just get a Jolly.
Get a grip, just suck a Jolly Rancher.
Don't let anybody have that. It's patent pending, trademark pending. Okay, so I do the nail polish. I've got the gum. This next one, I learned, I think, I don't know, in the olden days when I was getting my master's, because we learned, I was in counseling program, how to lessen people's anxiety when they were starting to careen toward a panic attack, because it's the shallow breathing and we get caught in that loop. And when we only inflate our lungs part way, we increase our panic. So I don't know if you know this, blowing up balloons forces you to deep breathe and it lessens your stress. You can't shallow breathe if you're blowing up balloons.
Is that like this? Is that the same? I always wondered about the brown paper bag.
Yes, exactly.
Is that
I
the
forgot
same
about that
mentality?
one. Yes.
In old movies, you always like sees, someone's about to faint in the brown paper bag, and they would have to blow in and out of the brown paper bag. But I guess.
Oh my gosh, you're exactly right.
Yeah, I never knew that the goal was to blow up the brown paper bag.
Yes, because it's the deep breathing. And I find that when I start to get panicky, which doesn't happen very often, but it's that shallow breathing. So blowing up balloons and then playing volleyball with them. And the last one is much more health and fitness related. I didn't realize this. I know I think of it as a comfort food, but oatmeal. That oatmeal consumption boosts our serotonin levels, which is a hormone that contributes to our all over happiness and reduced anxiety.
Interesting. So just eating oatmeal. See, my problem with that would be I would want to eat too much oatmeal.
Can you really eat? Can you be too happy?
That's really true. But you know what? Every time I see I haven't seen one in a while now. Maybe it's been about over a year, but like a Quaker commercial or an oatmeal commercial on TV, and they show the bowl of oatmeal. I think to myself, that's about 8 servings of oatmeal. Because if you actually weigh out a serving of oatmeal.
Oh, you mean, but it's my one serving. Is that because I see that and I usually think, oh, I have like twice that much.
Oh, at least 3 times, at least that much. And I'm always thinking, if I eat that much oatmeal, I can consume half my daily calories in one bowl of oatmeal easily.
Yes. But it makes us happy. So those are my 6 silly tips that will make us happy. We've got hold the dog. We've got the oatmeal. We've got blow up some balloons, chew your gum, and hug a tree. And truly the most important and the most saving for me right now, because we're all so riveted to our technology, is a tiny dot of nail polish in one corner of your phone. For me, it's the upper left, because I don't know why my gaze goes there. But so every time you see it, and even if you're not focusing on it, it registers to just breathe and slow down.
Nice list. I like this.
So now I'm calm.
Wow. I'm trying to think what I do to get calm that doesn't involve drinking.
See, and I think that's it. I'm out of the habit of drinking. And so there's never any wine in the house.
I don't actually drink that much. I joke I have been drinking more than I think I ever have, only to be honest, because the husband's been drinking more. So then I'm like, yes, I'll have a drink with you. So then
and it's when it's together, it's connecting.
Yeah. So then I tend to then go, but he's always and I was like, nah, not tonight. I don't really feel like. So I'm not like a go-to drinker to stress relief. I think I'm more. I need to do something. Like I need to preoccupy myself. So whether it's start a new project, go for a run, or even like plan out some like mini training schedule for myself, or like I don't know. It's like I need a project. I need something to take my mind off of what's stressing me, and to divert that energy into something that will be productive for myself or whatever. I
was surprised a friend yesterday said, I'm feeling really stressed about everything that's happening in the world. And do you know how I know? No, I don't know how you know. And she said, I just realized I have 400 steps for the whole day. And I thought, oh, interesting. I think if I were feeling really stressed, if that was my phrase, I would be much more jittery, moving around, even the fidgeting.
I think, I know this is an old and trite, but there's 2 types of people in the world. I think there's 2 types of people in the world. There's people that withdraw and just want to hide in their blankets
Yeah.
all day. And then there's people that want to get out and just go, I need to take a walk. I need to go for a run. Let me go to the gym. Let me, be active about it. And I think sometimes I think the people who withdraw might benefit from pushing themselves to be the other kind of person, but their default is to like hide, just to hide under their covers all day. Like it, but that never works for me. I feel worse. See, I know I feel worse.
Yes.
It's like perpetrating the depression or perpetrating the whatever stressing me out. It's not making it go away. And my logic is this: whatever it is that's stressing me out, it is happening. So if I let all other areas of my life fall away, that blip of whatever it is going to go away. And now I'll be depressed about the things I didn't do when the blip.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think about that too. Because eventually this is going to pass and I'll be like, oh, great. Now I have 67 assignments.
As trite as it sounds, like life goes on. So
yes.
I can ponder this and then have it ruin other aspects of my life, or I can make sure those other aspects of my life are in place so that when the blip goes, I'm now not depressed about something that was actually in my control.
Yes.
So yeah. And actually, maybe we should share that quote that Thea shared that I put on the Facebook page. I will share that because that's like directly related to what we're talking about. And I thought this quote, it was so good. I thought I shared it not only on the Wick Wick Facebook page, I shared it on my own personal Facebook page. And I put it in my blog post yesterday. So it really, really struck a chord with me. So the quote is, when you can't control what's happening, which let's be honest, we barely can control almost anything that's happening, challenge yourself. And I love that phrase because it's not easy and it doesn't happen naturally. Challenge yourself to control the way you respond to what's happening. And that's where your power is. And I think was really pertinent, for this week, but then for anything in life. And I think I've saw this quote written like different ways, like the old one, like you can't
only control anybody else. You can't control the situation.
You only control your reaction. But some reason the way that this one is written was really pertinent to me and I think it's those two words. It's to challenge yourself because I thrive off that. Give me a challenge, I'm taking it on. And so
my yesterday was writing a lot of responses to things on social media and then deleting them. It felt good to write them. Now, one time I almost had a heart attack because I thought I hit send. So this might not be a very good idea, but I thought I'm writing the responses and then I'm deleting them. And I feel like I've said.
I have done that. I have done that. I think that does help actually, just because you get it out of your head, even though.
Yeah.
And then you might realize it's not worth it or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in writing all the time. Like I'm super emotional and I have a hard time. I feel like I could discuss in the written word, really sensitive topics, really emotional topics, really even personally emotional topics, much more effectively in written word than in person, because I break down and I react too much to the other person. And I mean, and that's sometimes good, right? But sometimes I react too much to the other person that it's almost like I'm too empathetic that I then never get my points across. I don't know if that makes sense. Like if I'm arguing with the husband and we had an argument not that long ago where we were trying to discuss something and it wasn't working. So I wrote a letter. That's what I do. And I wrote or in this day and age, I write him an email, but I wrote him an email and I was like, okay, let me just say all this. And then that way I'm not crying in your face and we're not yelling at you, and let me just get it off. And then we had like a back and forth in written word and we resolve it. It's like, sometimes you just have to find that communication. You have to challenge yourself to find the communication style that works.
And it's fascinating to me because there was something I was like, oh, I kind of want to talk to my husband about this. And a friend of mine said to me, oh yeah, I just do everything by email. I find it, like you said, goes much more smoothly. I can get it all out. And how much less emotional, threatening, whatever the thought is, it is in writing when it's one-on-one. But when it's on social media, it feels like it gets so often misunderstood. In a way, it doesn't if I sent you an email.
Well, yeah, I think, because generally you're sending someone an email that you know pretty well. So I think they interpret you better. Whereas if you're sharing something on social media to the masses, there's a lot of people that they may know you, but they don't know you. So they don't pick up the inflections in your writing. And Like I know I'm a smart ass, and I find myself like I replied to someone's comment the other day, and then I literally had to recom and go, "You do know I'm joking, right?"
And that's why it makes me very sad that we cannot use emojis in professional
I find that they're
emails.
being used more and more, but
I will let my client people do it, but I'm like, I want to seem like a grown up, because you're right. Sometimes I'm thinking, do they get that I'm being not kidding? Yeah, that I'm it's levity, because in personal emails, I use too many emojis, like joking, because you can't.
Or I hashtag a lot of things. I believe the last hashtag I used was, I believe the hashtag I used on that particular one where I was joking and being a smartass was sarcastic as a mofo.
See, we can't use that in professional.
Can't use that, but it was like in the context it made sense. Yes. Okay, so we have one more thing to talk about today, which we talked about already last week,
but you guys missed it.
No one got to hear it because we had technical difficulties. So for those of you guys who don't know, the way that Carla and I actually record the podcast, because we are in different areas of the country, is that we use, Google Hangouts. And
now you know all our secrets.
I mean, not that you can't tell. So, and Google Hangouts is now, because YouTube and Google YouTube's owned by Google, whatever. So now everything's on like these YouTube live events, which we don't do live. We do private, and then we make our podcast from the audio files of our video recordings. But last week we had technical difficulties in the middle of our podcast. We lost each other, and then we came back, but for some reason a whole middle spot of our video was just MIA. It was just gone. So it just happened to be exactly what I wanted to talk about last week, which was an article that was found on the Huffington Post about the most effective diet for weight loss. So, yeah. So I'm going to try not to remember what I said last week, because it's just going to affect how I talk about it this week. But this article is really great. And we did share it, I think. Did we share it last week in the post?
I was just thinking about that. I do not believe that we did, because
great. Well, then we'll share it this week. Yes.
Yes.
So the title of the article is "Scientists Agree This is the Most Effective Diet for Weight Loss." So of course, me, Miss Perpetual Dieter, anymore, I should say ex-dieter, I'm still interested in what science says about dieting. And so I had to read their clickbait. And I was so happy to find out that basically the article says that, in so many words, Wick Wick is the most diet, the most successful diet. So I'll read a paragraph, and so you understand what I mean. And so let's see that paragraph. Here we go. In 2014, University of Toronto researchers examined 59 weight loss articles, 48 randomized culture. All right, so this is all the background. Okay, a study found that people who went, oh no, I missed the article. Wait. Okay, they concluded, here it is. They concluded that the best diet is the one that people can adhere to over the long term. So there isn't one specific diet. It's not low fat, low carb, high fat, no fat, whatever the diet, or like the macros. I know that's big right now, or all these like, I guess, strategies to eat. Really what they're finding is that they're all actually very similar. It all comes down to the individual and which of those diets the individual can stick to, because whatever one they can stick to is most successful.
Say, what's the best exercise? Is CrossFit the best exercise? I don't know. Will you do it?
Yes. Do you like it? You're running, riding a bike, taking step classes, as long as you're moving your body, that's kind of the end goal. So now what they're finding is that it's kind of the same with diet. So if you really think about it, if say low carb diet is the preferred diet, but if you can't stick to low carb, then you're going to be constantly fighting yourself, constantly kind of in this kind of staying away from carbs and then binging on carbs, right? And you're like, that diet. So the next part of that, which I started to read a little prematurely, though, I think is really important, because it does kind of make the best diet is the one you can stick to, which sounds a little like eye rolling, like, okay, that's smart assy, but the study found that people who went on the Atkins, the Ornish, Weight Watchers, and the Zone diet, so those four, which are those are like the big four, right? And are we missing one?
Yes, it's not like saying the cabbage soup diet. They're all pretty sanctioned. It may not be for you, but they're pretty respected.
And they're also slightly different. Like you can argue, I would say Zone and I mean, I researched them. I mean, they all kind of get to that lower carby thing, but Weight Watchers doesn't, right? Weight Watchers is.
Yeah.
So anyway, that they said the study found that people who went on the Atkins, Ornish, Weight Watchers, and Zone diets for a year all lost similar amounts of weights, albeit modest amounts due to the low adherence levels. So they didn't stick to the diet, they didn't lose the weight, but those who stuck to the diet, no matter which one, lost significantly more weight. According to the researchers, your ability to follow the diet is a larger predictor of your weight loss success than the actual diet that you choose.
I know. And I mean, I hate that I'll say me, I won't say weight, tie so much of it back to like parenting, but it's really with anything. If you follow it, it works. Can you stick with it? Yes. Then choose it. No, I don't know that I can. Then don't even start. It's so obvious, but those are mostly the aha moments we have.
Yes. Well, and I know for me, like, so I was in a previous life a Weight Watchers girl, which is really how I lost 70 pounds on Weight Watchers in 2005, 2006-ish. And it was the first diet, the way that they defined the diet back then, because it's changed significantly, was the first one that I felt I could follow forever. Yes. And I remember thinking to myself when I started, all right, this is going to work, because I'm not willing at that time. I wasn't willing to go to the gym. Now I'm like a crazy fitness person, but at that time I didn't have a gym membership. I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to really work out. I didn't really want to change my diet that much, but I kind of wanted to lose weight, what I call on my terms. So if I couldn't lose weight, I don't know, eating pizza, then I figured, okay, I have to live with this body that I have because I'm not willing to give up these things to lose weight. And so when I followed that diet, and I was kind of for the first time following a diet that allowed me to basically eat whatever I want, albeit in smaller portions, and gave me a daily goal of the day, and I food journaled and I did all these things. So I didn't necessarily change my diet that much in the beginning. And when I use that word diet in that context, meaning what I ate, I just changed the amounts I was eating. And that kind of, I don't know, it allowed me to follow it. Then I lost the weight. So
it seems there's an element, though, of your being ready to be honest with yourself. So the scientists agree this is the most effective diet for weight loss, but it seems like there's that need for you to look at paleo. Let's say everybody's doing paleo and everybody is looking so good. And be honest with yourself that I could not. I love that you were honest with yourself back at the beginning. No, I don't want to go to the gym.
I don't want to.
That's okay.
Yes. I was like, and I believe the exact phrase I said to myself, if this isn't something I'm willing to do for a long, long time, then I'm not going to do it just in the name of weight loss. Because I realized, and the funny thing to me always was that, so I didn't work out. I walked. I was like, well, I'm willing to take a walk every day. That's fine. So I walked, but then after a year and a half, then I was like, oh, I kind of want to try a class at the gym. That it happened organically and naturally instead of forcing it, and now I'm a crazy CrossFitter that goes every day. But if, 10, 12 years ago, if I just started CrossFit and it wouldn't have had the same results.
Yeah.
But it's funny you bring up paleo because I'm surrounded by paleo people.
Oh, really? Yeah. I guess that is kind of the people CrossFit more time to do.
Yeah. Who all think paleo is great. Or, I mean, I guess not. So, there are people that I am around and I go, never, I could never ever do. I'm sorry. I like bread. I want to be able to eat a sandwich every now and then or whatever it might be. So yeah, there are certain things that I've read and their physiques look amazing. But I'm not willing to give up those things to have that physique. To me, having alcohol with the husband, 1 or 2 nights a week or having pizza with the kids or ice cream or whatever is way more important than, I don't know, those last few pounds or that extra physique muscle tone or whatever it is that you get from that diet.
Oh, yes. And we've talked about this before, and especially as we age. I mean, it was interesting after we recorded this last week and it didn't go through. Somehow this all came up with my husband, which it never does, food. And he said, yeah, I've really noticed I'm 48 and my metabolism is getting super slow. And I am not willing to eat like you do. Of course, I start thinking, what do I do?
What do I eat? How do I eat?
Yeah. He's just like, I am not interested in that. He is hardcore Reese's Cups, pizza. He loves the junk. He said, so I'm realizing that I'm going to have to ratchet back my portions a lot in order to, because he works out a bunch as well, but in order to maintain my physique. and still be able to eat what I want. And I thought, okay, that's what
Yeah,
you're willing to do. It's all,
it's
yeah.
balance. Yeah, it's
Yeah. He's like,
balance.
there's no way I'm giving that stuff up. And he would either then binge because he wouldn't be allowed to have it, or it's just sad. I mean, when people say to me, don't you get sick of eating the way you do? I'm like, oh Lord, no. If it made me sad, I wouldn't do it. Life
Yeah,
is too short.
I think finding and for so many people, I think once you flip that little switch in your brain that starts to look at eating healthier or more nutritious or whatever as a challenge, like for me, that's what worked. It was like a challenge, and like let me try new vegetables. And I looked at it as a more of a fun game, except instead of, oh, I'm on a diet and I can't eat pizza and I have to eat more vegetable. Like and we talk about this in the book. It was more, I looked at it, I reframed it, and I looked at it as a sense of flipping it instead of what I couldn't have, what I could have. And I was like, oh, there's all these things that are like popular right now, new foods and all these things that I can try. Instead of like the same old box of macaroni and cheese or boxes of cereal that you've been just, I looked at it more as this kind of fun adventure of, oh, let's try all these new foods. And my diet drastically changed over the course of 10 years. Like I don't eat anything the way that I ate when I was in my 20s. And it's not that I like what I'm eating now. Yeah,
I think that's the key. It's the first one in this article that I could see. You're about to read the first one, but it's the learning about this and then picking these things that you really enjoy. It's at number one.
Oh yeah, I was only going to go to number 2, but yeah. Okay. So they said, what diet can you stick with? So the article goes on to give you kind of tips on how to find that diet that it would be the one that you could stick to. And the first one they do is they establish whether or not it's healthy, which I can't remember now if we had this conversation and we lost it last week, this whole idea of whether or not it's healthy. But I tend to look at foods, whether or not they're nutritious, not healthy. That word bothers me for some reason. I feel like it's like it's becoming a loaded word. Like
it's that whole blog post I did about foods with benefits, not healthy.
Yes, exactly.
I love my daughter, but she kept saying, is this healthy? And there are very few clear cut. You hold up an apple, you hold up an avocado. Actually, even the avocado, it's like, I don't know. You don't want the whole thing in one sitting. It's like, what is healthy?
Yeah.
It's what are the benefits here? But yes.
Yes. Like, what is it nutritious? So the article says this might sound obvious, but it's important not to skip out on certain food groups or live on packaged diet foods just because it's doable. Although I would argue that's how I started. And then
I would argue that as well. Yeah. Yes. Set yourself up for success.
Right.
The best is finding the most effective diet for weight loss for you. And that really might be a lot of packaged stuff for lunch, whatever it is that works.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I was a big smart ones. Like, oh, it's easy. You don't have to think. And I think when you're changing your diet, you have to pick and choose your battles. You can't change everything overnight. You just can't. So you have to take little baby steps, which leads into the most pertinent Wick Wick part of the article, which is it's all about small changes. And so the article says a diet should involve making small changes in many areas rather than extreme changes in one area. For instance, eating veggies at every meal and reducing sugar intake and not letting yourself get ravenous between meals is much more comprehensive and a practical approach. So yes, it's all about the small things. So smart ones may be a huge change, although it goes against what I just said, but from eating like a burger and fries every day, for lunch. Now it's like, oh, I have a smart one. That's a small change. And then maybe after a few weeks, months, you start making your own lunch and bringing your own, you know what I mean? So it's like I always envision all change as a gradient. It's like this
small and sustainable. Yes. I think that's key for me is when I was presenting at my daughter's school to the faculty and staff about Wick Wick, the book, and talking about food prep, because that's everyone's Achilles heel. I almost said Achilles tendon, but that would not have been right. And one teacher shared that she was thinking she would do this, and she was thinking she would do that, and she was thinking she would do this, and it would all start this Sunday. And I just thought, and then said, one thing, like you said, start with the smart ones, better than Wendy's. And then maybe that for a month, you'll think, I feel so much better just with this change. I'm going to do smart ones, but bring in cut up fruits and vegetables to go with it, like small and sustainable.
Yes, I agree. All right, the last one, which actually I believe we did talk about last week, not that it matters because no one heard it anyway, is actually really important too. Any diet worth its calories doesn't just tell you what to and what not to eat. It gives you tools for dealing with food triggers, learning how to love healthy foods, combating emotional overeating, gauging your true hunger. So it also kind of gives you skills, which I think that's one area where for me, like Weight Watchers was very helpful in the beginning. Like I I was accountable. I had, I learned to like control my environment a little bit. I stopped buying certain things. So those changes necessarily, if you're picking a diet that works for you, you have to think about almost more than what you're just consuming and kind of your whole environment and kind of how you're going to deal with situations as well.
I love it. And the article is so obvious because all of this is so obvious. Small steps to big change. Find something you can commit to forever and figure out what it is worth it to you. I mean, there's a woman that you and I share in common as a friend, and I bring her up all the time, and she looks unbelievably amazing. Is she 60 now, Jody?
I think she's 59. I think she tags her stuff with fit at 59.
She looks unbelievable. But I look at her and think, you look amazing. I am not willing to do what it takes to get there.
Too much
I'm
work.
honest with myself.
Yeah, you know what? I think the best thing about being over 40 now is kind of like how I know that I'm a grandma dog owner. Like I'm a grandma dog person, and I love dogs, but I need to be able to give them back. I think it's that same where you can finally, you hit a point in your life where you finally look at someone else and go, you look amazing, and I am not willing to do what you did to get there, but I can appreciate it.
Because
only when you reach
that point will you, first of all, you let go. I mean, because for a while I did look at Jody. I've known her since I was 40, so for 7 or 8 years. And I thought, that's going to be me when I get older. And then as I've gotten older, I realized, oh, okay, I'm going to let go of that because I will never look like she does. And like you saying, you would never walk around, and I can say this because I've never seen any of these CrossFit people at your gym. You would never walk around thinking, I suck. I don't look as ripped and lean as they are, because you said, I am not willing to never have a drink with my husband, or there's a conscious choice.
I think I mentioned him at a new gym, and there's a woman at my new gym. I honestly have no idea I don't know if it's just me, but I cannot judge anyone's age anymore. She's either 25 or 45. I have no idea. I believe I'm older than her. Maybe she's in her 30s. I don't know. But she's amazing. She's just super fit. She has kids too. So again, I know she's kind of established, and I look at her, and I'm not going to lie, I'm jealous. I was like, oh, she looks amazing. And she has that CrossFit body that's not like crazy over the top like the CrossFit athletes you see on TV, but you could just tell she's super fit, and she's got minimal body fat, and you could see her muscles, and she's doing handstand push-ups, and I'm like, wow, I want to be like you, but I'm not willing not to be.
And how freeing is that?
Yes, it is. And I think
there's no guilt.
Well,
you don't look like that, because it's a choice.
Well, that's when I say, I think when you are able to really allow yourself to even almost feel those things, like, oh, I'm really jealous of that woman, or what, and go and then look at why am I? Oh, because she looks a certain way. Well, what did she do to look at that way? Oh, am I willing to do those things? No, I'm really not willing to do those things. So in a weird way, for me, my logical brain reminds myself, well, you could look like that too, or your version of that.
Right.
But you're not really willing to. So you can either be mad about this, or you can do something about it. Like there's like one or the other. And at the end of the day, it always comes down to, no, I want to take my kids for ice cream.
Yes. And I think we get so caught up. I mean, you and I joked about the title of this article because it's the ultimate clickbait of what is the best.
Yes.
But more than even reading the article and thinking about the small changes is taking a minute silence and getting really honest with yourself. If one of your goals is weight loss, what am I willing to do? It doesn't make you a good or bad person that you're unwilling to relinquish your daily Diet Coke, but it's just acknowledging what it is that you're willing to do, because then okay, this is how far I can get. And like you said, I think sometimes we surprise ourselves. When I first started trying to lose weight, I was only willing to do, I'm sure I did not stop drinking because I was like right after college, but then you start getting results, and I was much more motivated, inspired to give things up I never would have when I was initially starting out. So it's okay to evolve, but I think it's important to realize, like you said, what you're willing to change and what you're not yet.
Yes. No, I think it is. I think I brought this up in previous, Scott, like the phrase that helps me is my body will be a result of my lifestyle. It just helps me every time I think.
So true.
It's not I'm not it's just a personal, like, where I go, am I living the way I want to be living? Then this is the body that life produces.
So true. Oh my
And
gosh,
that to me is so, it's just, for me personally, is very empowering to go, I don't know.
There's no excuses.
It's not, yeah, you don't need one. It's just it is what it is. And it seems so silly sometimes to be 40 years old and still talking about it. But I think for me anyway, like if I peer back and I'm super honest with my 20-year-old self, my 30-year self, like at that time when I only wanted to be skinny and I was, when society was telling me I had to be skinny and I would look at magazines and cry and I would, I really at that time wasn't living a life that would lead to that body anyway. You know what I mean? And I think you're in this like weird, you want something, but you're not really willing to do what works. And it's more of an internal struggle. Like you're fighting yourself all the time. And then for me, the result of that stress and that depression led to eating more, which then made me hate myself more, which then made, it was this like vicious, weird cycle that I was in. And it is super freeing to just go, well, no, this is, I want to drink with my friends and I want to take my kids for ice cream. And I also want to CrossFit every day. And I also want to, I enjoy those things. And so this is the body I got.
The best diet, and this is the best food approach for me.
Yes. There we go.
I know.
So hopefully we didn't lose this chunk of the podcast again, because I am not talking about this article a third time.
I loved it. Yes, I know. Well, and there you go. That's our Wick Wick. I think we should be our own Wickers of the week, because last week we lost half the podcast and you edited it anyways. And this week we were derailed yesterday. We couldn't record as usual and we made time today. So we are our own.
We are our own Wick Wickers of the week.
Super meta.
I like it. Yes, it is meta, isn't it? Maybe we are the only Wick Wickers. This is my pessimist side coming out.
No. My 10-year-old with her biking to school. She's got that. Yeah. The three of us.
You did inspire me to bike to my doctor's appointment today. So even if it's just the three of us, we are.
That's right. And we did it. We've wrapped up our 37th episode.
On that note, we are going to say Wick Wick.
Wick Wick.
Yay, we did it. That was much longer than I thought we were going to go, which is good, and in a good way. You know what I mean?
I know. I thought it was really